Microphone check 1 2. Looks like we are live, guys, and I am anything but prepared. So please forgive me. Hopefully, you can hear me loud and clear. This is the Sleuth Intuition channel. We will be talking about Abby and Libby's case, the appeal of Richard Allen, and some exhibits that were released for that cause here recently. Many of them pertaining to the Frank's memo, or excuse me, the Frank's motion. So we'll do a quick recap, and then we're going to dive right into Kathy Allen's interview transcript. So remember, Jerry Holman says, well, we already spoke to your wife. We already know that you tried to kill yourself or you put a gun in your mouth and all these things. Well, we're going to go read the transcript from that interview. I mean, we should have had a video to watch, but it is extremely long-winded. But there's a lot of good information in there. You get more of a feel for what was going on with Kathy at that time and her level of honesty. So before we dive in back into her interview, we could do a quick recap if you guys want to. Let's see, what did we talk about? Here, let's pull this. I thought this was really interesting. The timing on this info is really interesting, right? This stuff on Dave McCain. And happy Veterans Day to all you veterans out there. Thank you so much. We owe it all to you, especially those who have lost loved ones while serving this country. We salute you. Thank you very much for your sacrifice. Welcome in Anything I Like. Cheeks, what's going on? Yeah, I promised you guys we would follow up this morning. It's still fresh in my mind. I woke up thinking about all of this information. So, yes, I'm very anxious to dive back in. This is my true crime journey, and I'm taking you guys along for the ride. And most of you are driving right next to me. You're not passengers, you're just other conductors here on the train, your own tracks. What's up? Anything I Like. Tony, Cheeks, Jill Moser. Cheeks says Kathy is full of shit. I said it from the start. They're both enablers of each other. He doesn't want to lose her, and she doesn't want to lose him. She doesn't care what he did. I think she knows more about his childhood abuse, and I think if she talks about it, it's going to paint him more as a guilty person. And right now, for her, it's poor Ricky, right? She knows how much of a victim he's been his entire life, so she feels bad for him. She might even feel guilty because they were kind of somewhat separated at the time. Not separated, but physically separated. They weren't spending a lot of time together. And if he has a dependent personality disorder, that can't be good for him. So hopefully she's going to go into everything that's been going on with him, go into detail about his time at Chrysler. Remember, Tony Klein worked at Chrysler. So I don't know. He could have worked at the one in Kokomo, Lafayette. It could, maybe both. Maybe you want overtime. You go to Kokomo, you go to Lafayette, whatever. So it's just interesting that he's working at the Chrysler plant. And then we have Tony Klein working at the Chrysler plant. My sources, which you can include or not include with your information, right? It's not verified. People quote unquote in their sources. But my sources were proven. I told you guys that Richard Allen was in Mexico and Peru the morning of the murders before that was ever made public. So you can go check those receipts. So those sources are right. They're the ones that told me, hey, look, it wasn't just Kathy and Rick taking care of their mom in Peru when Kathy's brother died. They would help. And this was one of the family members that was actually helping. So there you go. That might actually show you guys who the source is. They're related to Kathy and Rick. They were actually one of the people that helped take care of Rick's mom, or Kathy's mom, Rick's mother-in-law. All right. So let me take this off. Shout out to the veterans. Thank you guys. Today is your day. So this was very interesting here for a few different reasons, and I'll go ahead and list them all for you. Watched replay last night of part 1. There you go. So if you guys are a little bit lost, we're going to dive right into the middle of Kathy's interview transcript. So you might be a little bit lost, but we really she didn't expose a whole lot. She just kind of was denying the fact that she knew Rick was out there on the trails, and then she changed her story like when they called her out on it. She's like, "Oh yeah, he was there and he saw 3 girls and they were weird." So she changed her story a few times. Excuse me. I just had breakfast and I'm enjoying my coffee. So, Vix, what up? Cheeks, the fact that she didn't come forward when they released the video and picture of him on the bridge told me everything. You could show me a picture of Minnie Blurry in Times Square and I'll find him. Well, not only that, Cheeks, what about the New Direction presser? Also, during the part of the trans of her interview that we've read already, she stated that they always park at the CPS building. She said they had to. She says, "Yeah, that's where we park." So you're telling me, and the older sketch, which is obviously Dave McCain. So you have Dave McCain with the little hat and the hair kind of sticking out all crazy and the scruffy facial hair. That he was the sketch. It was provided by Daniel Pearson. And then come to find out here that Betsy Blair, look, Betsy looked at the pictures and picked a vehicle that we have identified belonging to David McCain. He testified that he would park at the CPS building from time to time. And a vehicle matching the same description as Betsy Blair is the same thing that Brad Heath described. So he got there early in the morning and said that an older model sedan, right, which would make it boxier, right, just by the age of the vehicle, something you would see pulled over the side of the road, going fishing on a Sunday. That's very similar to what Betsy's describing, an older model vehicle. So Brad Heath says he saw that car around, I think, 8 a.m., parked kind of in a weird, like away from the road. Like they didn't take their time to park correctly. So if you have this boxy car parked strangely at 8 a.m., and then you have a man kind of snooping around the private drive right around that same time, it could be Dave McCain, right? Because later on, Brad Heath sees the same vehicle around the 2:30-ish mark. And that's when Dave McCain said he was there. But he said he parked at the Mears lot. So how is Brad Heath seeing Dave McCain's car if he's parked at the Mears lot? The vehicle that he was referring to was parked more near the CPS building, like up the road a little bit. And then sure enough, it's the same vehicle that you have Betsy Blair describing. So it's very interesting. So if Richard Allen and Dave McCain are both parked at the CPS building, they're both on the trails at the time the girls were killed. Both are the sketches, right? Young and old. Why is this not being talked about? Maybe their goal was to kidnap Abby and Libby on the private drive and then take them into the CPS building. I mean, who would come up with a plan like that? Well, we know that Dave McCain was trying to acquire the CPS building prior to the crime. He was going through all kinds of channels and hoops and jumping through hoops to get that building. That building was wide open. Check this out. Look, here's a YouTuber on a unicycle kind of doing a tour of the area. He walks up to the CPS building and the door is wide open. So if you have Richard Allen backed into the CPS building and you have Dave McCain parked at the CPS building, according to Betsy Blair, right? Who's to say that maybe they did take them into this building, right? Everybody's like, oh, well, maybe they were taken somewhere. This could have been their plan. This could have been where they were planning to film it, conduct the actual sexual assault, create the snuff film, all of that stuff. So look, this guy just walks right. He just waltzes right in. Right? You see the freeway reflecting off the glass right here? Right outside the window. So why are they both parked here in a building that is easily accessible? Dave would have had plenty of knowledge that this building was available and that they wouldn't have been bothered. Who's going to hear two girls screaming here? Nobody. There's nobody, there's nothing around them. Welcome in, Mills. But isn't that crazy? I mean, look at this building. They could be doing all kinds of shit in here. If you're going to conduct a ritual, that's where you're going to do it. They have a bathroom. You want to clean up, DNA? There you go. You want to redress somebody? I don't know if the water's running, but you could still bring your own water source. So just very interesting that you have Betsy describing Dave McCain's car and testifying that the car she saw was parked at the CPS building. And then the guy who was seen messing around the private drive at 8 a.m., right at the same time that Brad Heath was reporting a vehicle parked strangely, you have this sketch of what appears to be, it looks like Dave. Let me pull up his folder here. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. So he's kind of got this hair, right? That kind of sticks out. Just like the older sketch. And I don't know where the hell my file went. And my system's not picking it up. That's weird. What's up, Linda? Welcome in. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate that. Growing crazy. What's up? Shout out to the veterans. Good morning, Linda. Easy Eddie. Don't forget Richard Allen confessed to the murders. There is no way I would confess to something I didn't do. Well, the thing is you don't know that, Eddie. I know it seems kind of strange, but it does happen. And a lot of corrupt law enforcement, they know how to invoke that. They know how to elicit that response. They know how to put somebody under psychosis. through pressure and constant attacks, repetition, and just creating a hopeless environment, right? Where they're the only answer to safety, right? They're the key to your to unlock all of your anxiety and everything that's happening to you. You know, the walls are closing in. They're the ones with the keys to reverse it, right? They have the keys to the door. You walk out, it's all over. So they create this atmosphere where if you just say what they want you to say, you'll get what you want. But that comes after hours and hours and hours of really subtle torture. And they get people to confess to things that never happened. And we have so many examples. One of the best examples is a man who was accused of killing his father, right? He's the one that reported his father missing. And it sucks because law enforcement has to deal with people who hide in plain sight, right? They call law enforcement and they say, hey, somebody's missing. They find this person and find out the person who called 911 is the killer. For example, there was a case here in Phoenix where a young man, well, I guess, yeah, he was 18. So he is a man. He he lured his mother out to a field behind their house, like some farming area. This happened here in Phoenix, one of the suburbs. I might even cover the story. Well, anyway, he killed his mother. He'd been planning on killing her because she was coming down on him. He's 18. You know, he's a loser, typical sadistic incel type. So lures her out into this field, kills her, drags her behind these piles of dirt, goes back home and inflicts some self-inflicted wounds on his neck and makes it appear as if he was tied up. Calls 911 and says, hey, some people came in, they tied me up, and they took my mom, right? That's his story. That's how he's going to cover it up. He's been planning it for some time. So even though he's the one that called 911, he was also the killer. So I get it. So I get that part. But the truth is, people confess to things that they didn't do all the time. That's just not what we're dealing with Richard Allen, right? And there's also been times where guilty people confessed to the crimes that they committed that were later proven, and later they had given, you know, a good confession, a video confession, a statement signed and sealed. You know what I mean? But while they were locked up, they fell under psychosis and they started confessing to the crime and saying that they used weapons that they never had and saying that, you know, the victims in this narrative were not the victims that were actually found at the crime scene. So when you're under psychosis, it could have a little bit of reality and a little bit of fantasy, I guess, or delusion. So you could confess to anything, right? You could confess to killing a unicorn or being abducted by aliens or something. That doesn't matter. It's what you did when you were clinically healthy. Richard Allen was clinically healthy when he confessed to Walla, when he confessed to Walla and to his wife twice that day. So, and you can hear for yourself if you don't listen to the calls and you're not honest, right? He sounds fine. He's even trying to convince Kathy, hey, I'm fine, Kathy. She says, you're not well. He says, yes, babe, I am well. Like, you need to come to terms with what's really going on here, okay? Like, it was hard for me. And then she says, no, 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 no. He goes, oh, well, I'm really going to lose my mind now, right? He's like, I thought this was it. Like, I thought I was going to find peace. You would understand that you married a sadistic killer, and you would eventually come to terms with that. He even says, I knew I had to let you go, which tells me he was trying to hold on to her and try to continue the manipulation and the facade, right? But she just wouldn't let him. So now he's like, well, I'm really going to lose my mind. And that's what he did. And we'll go into that too. Cheek says people confess to things they didn't do every day. Absolutely. And it's tragic. And it's something that needs a whole lot of attention. But the truth is, you know, I'm going to show you a list here. I don't want to jump the gun. Let's just go through the chat and then we'll get to that part of it. Why? But Dave looks extremely light in the loafers for some reason. But I digress. Well, yeah. I mean, he's a martial artist. He's into sexual alchemy. Yeah, he's into a lot of weird shit, guys. I keep going back to your slide of McCain and Richard Allen on the bridge with two different sketch pictures. I might still have that accessible here. But yeah, he's definitely the older guy sketch. If you look at the Discovery Index, it says it right there that the older sketch was done by the majority of it was done by Daniel Pearson and was that of Dave McCain. So you have Daniel Pearson saying the killer is Dave McCain. The I saw was McCain. You also have Dave McCain. He was there from 2 to 3. You have 8 to 2:30 ish, and then one of his after 4 overlooking the entire park as if they were kind of overseeing everything, making sure it went smooth. So is Liebert's 8:30 a.m. private drive guy who's acting creepy enough for her to take notice? Is that McCain? Did he park over there where Brad Heath saw that car quickly cross the bridge and then go up the private drive and make sure to unlock it, lock it, unlock it, maybe even get a vehicle down there? Because we know that there's a back way into there. Dave McCain would know that Brad Weber is not home. And he most likely knows that there's an alternative way to get into the Weber property where you wouldn't be seen on the Sandifer security camera. So just because you don't see Dave McCain's car driving in front of the Sandifer security camera doesn't mean that he didn't go in through the back way. So that could be him going the back way, parking his car near the private drive. Liebert sees him like, who is that? Doesn't really get a good eye. She says he wasn't a student. That much she knows. It's cold out, so he probably doesn't have on his silly hat. He probably actually does have on a beanie. So that could be him doing the recon. And we know that the McCains are connected to Richard Allen because he name dropped them in his interview. I'm not making this shit up. Excuse me. Some of the confessions that Richard Allen gave, he said he shot the girls. Now, doctors also believe that he was feigning and malingering, right? So if your wife is not accepting your confession and she chooses to fight, well, now you have to go back to countermeasures. All right. Well, what's a countermeasure of my confession? I was just confessing. So that's the thing that he's kind of known for is countermeasures. Shannon, welcome in. The tone, timing, and manner in which he confessed to his mother, in my opinion, negates any argument for false confessions. Absolutely. But for whatever reason, nobody that supports Richard Allen will ever talk about that. So it's weird, right? It's like cherry picking. But these are the facts. The facts are that Richard Allen confessed to the crime while he was lucid. And that confession matches perfectly with the phone data recovered from Libby's phone. I mean, we're talking down to the T. And if you're still not sure about that, all you have to do is listen to the testimony of Brad Weber. He says, I got off at a certain time. He may or may not have lingered around the parking lot for 12 minutes. It's a 16-minute drive from there to Delphi. He would have been home even if he waited 12 minutes in the parking lot, right around 2:30, 2:30, 2:32. Anywhere between 2:25. If he's a speeder, he could have been there at 2:25. So between 2:25 and 2:32, you have a van. And it all matches up with what's going on with Richard Allen. So let's say Richard Allen chases the girls, and then you have Dave go back into his car, right? Gets back into his car and drives away. That leaves Tony and Rick down at the actual crime scene. Think about it. You have everything covered. This is the plan. Rick, you're on the bridge. Tony, you're in the cemetery. I have the private drive. There's nowhere else to go. And it could have gone wrong, right? The main goal could have been to bring the girls, kidnap them, and take them to the CPS building where they could have done whatever they wanted. Just didn't work out because of the van. Exotic says, why would Richard Allen tell authorities years before that he had been on the bridge that day? That's the countermeasure, Exotic. Think about it. Let's say you walk into a building and you're trying to stay incognito. So you have on a disguise, and for whatever reason, you take off your disguise, right? Let's say I'm going to take off my mask. I got some time to kill before I commit my crime. Nobody's around. I'm going to take off my mask because I have an addiction to cigarettes, right? I'm going to smoke a cigarette. And if anybody comes, I'll put my mask on. So, take off your mask, spark up the cigarette, killing time. You turn around, and there's this woman just staring right at you. You're like, oh shit. She's looking right at you. She's just staring at you. Your mask is off, cigarette in hand, and you're like, oh shit. That person leaves, you put your mask back on, throw your cigarette into the water, and now you have to adjust your plan. You have to take a countermeasure. Okay, now I have to abandon my alibi that I was trying to create. That's why he went to Mexico. He went there to establish his alibi. He went there to leave his phone, leave it running, possibly even send it with his mom while they go out to lunch. Or he could have just connected it to the Wi-Fi at the mom's home, played, some playlist on his phone, and went and committed the murders. But if somebody sees him, that's no longer going to work, right? He's got these young girls that got a good look at him. So now he has to admit that he's at the bridge, or that he was at the trails and on the bridge, because that's where the witnesses seen him. He has to admit to parking at the, near the Freedom Bridge, because that's where the witnesses saw him. He has to admit to be on the bridge because he saw Betsy Blair get a good look at him. So now he has to abandon his alibi, not because it's the smart choice, but it's the paranoid choice. Right? That's why killers come back to crime scenes. They keep thinking about it, okay, what mistakes did I make? They don't know about it. I'm going to go back to the crime scene, and I'm going to pick up something that I dropped. I'm going to wipe off some DNA. And disgustingly enough, a lot of these killers that return to the crime scene will have sex with the dead body. That's what we're dealing with, guys. Anybody that is capable of doing what they did to Abby and Libby, that's the type of shit that they do. Necrophiliac type shit. All right. So we'll keep doing this quick review of yesterday. There was something else I wanted to show you. Okay. Yes, this recent photograph of Richard Allen. Let's talk about that. So this photograph here, this is not what Richard Allen looked like when he was making those confessions to Dr. Walla. When he made his confessions, he was getting away from all of this. He went back into this somewhat after Kathy didn't accept his confession. So there is something I want to show you guys. Okay, so this is examples. So I think I took this from ChatGPT. Yes, it's not uncommon for inmates in solitary confinement, especially those under extreme stress or guilt, to exhibit self-destructive or erratic behavior such as refusing to eat, hitting their heads against walls, right? That's what you're seeing here. You see, because what happens is inmates in solitary confinement, and he technically, although he was in solitary confinement, he was receiving more privileges. So when you have doctors say, oh, well, Rick was treated better or better than most, he was. This right here, he did to himself. He's eating feces, he's bashing his head against the wall, and he's refusing to eat. He's on hunger strike. Nobody did this to him. Rick did this to him, to himself. Why? To gain control. And this is not something that's uncommon. People that are in solitary confinement, what they do is they'll shit, right? To gain control. They know they got to get the guards' attention. It has to be something really drastic. They will shit all over the place. They'll wipe it all over the walls, and then the guards will look through and they'll say, "Hey, this guy's wiping shit everywhere." They'll pull him out and they'll say, "Ah, well, he's feigning, right? He just wanted to get out of there. He was feeling claustrophobic. Wanted to get out, stretch his legs, talk, socialize with people, sit in a comfortable chair, be checked out by the nurse, and then get sent back into solitary confinement." Well, 2 days later, they're smearing shit all over the wall again. And they're saying, "Oh, well, we know what you're doing. It's not going to work. Now you have to live with your own shit in there, Rick." So what do? They start eating the shit. And only from what I've heard from prison doctors is that only the most violent of offenders do that. Most people do wipe feces all over themselves. They can bring themselves to do it because that's how they gain control. That's how they're going to shock the guards, shock the doctors, and get themselves out of that confinement just so they can breathe. But only the really violent ones are the ones actually eating the feces. So that's what Rick knows. In order for him to have any kind of control, he's going to have to do it at his own behest. So he's eating shit, rubbing shit all over the place. And when that stops working, you have to begin self-harming. That's stage 3 right there. And then they have to take you out of the cell, right? The smearing of the shit on the walls worked at the beginning. No longer does it work. The eating of the shit, is where he had to go to elevate so that he could gain control and get out of that room. When that stopped working is when the self-harm kicked in. So everything you see here is not some kind of torture. They didn't waterboard him. This is all self-inflicted. Okay, these behaviors can stem from psychological distress, guilt, isolation, mental illness, or attempts to gain control over their situation. And this is absolutely what was going on with Rick. He wanted out of that room, and he was getting out of that room. And because he's a sick individual, there's no lengths that he will not go to make that happen. He will even eat his own shit, which goes hand in hand with violent offenders. But as far as solitary confinement, it's very typical for inmates to smear shit and to bash their head. But only the violent offenders eat their feces. So when the smearing of the shit doesn't work, then they go into the bashing of the head because they know that's what's going to trigger the response. They know the policy. They're smart enough to know, how that place works, and they do that to gain control. Excuse me. All right, here are several notable cases where inmates, many widely considered guilty, displayed similar behaviors. Let's start with Ted Bundy, serial killer convicted of multiple murders. In the final months before his execution, Bundy exhibited erratic behavior, severe mood swings, and long periods of isolation. Reports from guards noted he sometimes refused food and talked to himself in his cell. Reasoning, likely anxiety, guilt, and impending execution stress. What's up, Dark Side? Yes, it's extremely common. And that's the thing, is we have to educate ourselves on these things. And that's one thing I'm trying to do, right? So a lot of people don't know that these things are that common, or that people are that sick that they would go, to those lengths to get what they want. Like, oh my God, he must be crazy. He's eating his shit. You guys are torturing him. Like, no person would ever do that. Well, a child killer would. A sadistic sociopath would. And that's all I'm trying to drive home, is you have to open your mind outside of what you see every day. what you might do. Try to look through the eyes of somebody who is a compartmentalized, sadistic person, somebody who may have been abused as a child and fantasizes about abuse, or maybe they have many other issues. It doesn't always stem from childhood trauma. Sometimes it's just a screw, a missing screw. What's up, Kelly? Looks like he has two black eyes. Did that happen in Oklahoma? No, this is old. This is all part of them trying to say that he was tortured and abused and forced into confessing. Yeah, I should have said eat breakfast before we get into this. Sorry about that. You're right about that, Vix. No more pudding pops. About eating shit and violent offenders, always learning from you, sleuth. Well, I'm just learning. I'm passing it on. Just passing along the information. Exotic, yeah, it's nasty. All right, let's continue on here. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, convicted serial killer in California. Ramirez had long periods of refusing meals and violent outbursts in solitary. He sometimes banged his head on walls, according to prison staff reports. Right? Sound familiar? Shit's not working. It's time to go to Code Red. And let's start bashing our head on the wall. They have to let me out of this fucking room then. Oh, and they will. They will. Diagnosed with psychopathy, schizophrenia-like symptoms, his isolation worsened his instability. Ariel Castro. Now, what happened to Ariel is what they tried to prevent with Richard Allen. So pay attention to this part. Kidnapped and held 3 women captive in Cleveland for years. This guy was a fucking absolute terrorist. Behavior. After sentencing, he reportedly refused meals and displayed self-harming behavior while in protective custody. He ultimately hanged himself in his cell. And that's what they didn't want for Richard Allen. Severe guilt, shame, and inability to cope with solitary confinement. Imagine being locked in that room with all that guilt. Zokhar Zarnav, Boston Marathon bomber. While awaiting trial and in solitary, Zarnav, I may not be saying that right, was described as withdrawn, often refusing communication and food for extended periods of time. So that's how why he looks so frail, right? He's just like all sunken in because he was refusing to eat. Chris Watts confessed to murdering his wife and children in Colorado. His behavior. Prison staff reported he barely ate, talked to himself, and sometimes hit the walls early in his incarceration while under suicide watch. Intense guilt, shame, isolation after public condemnation. Luke Magnotta, convicted of killing and dismembering June Lin in Canada. While awaiting trial, Magnotta was reported to have self-harmed and refused food, exhibiting psychotic symptoms and self-punishment behaviors. What's the reasoning? Personality disorder and stress of solitary confinement. Nadal Hassan, Fort Hood shooter, frequently refused meals and maintained unresponsive to guards and psychologists. Reasoning, religious justification mixed with deliberate fasting and control assertion, which I think was a big part of what Richard Allen was doing. It was all about control. Like, if you think you can keep me locked up here in this, you haven't seen my manipulation. You haven't seen my abilities yet. Wait until I start eating my own shit. Anders Breivik, Norwegian extremist who killed 77 people. In isolation, he exhibited bizarre routines, hunger strikes, self-directed aggression like banging objects and ranting, right? So I don't want to hear any of this because he looks like shit, he's somehow innocent, right? This is self-inflicted. This is all manipulation. And a lot of people out there are susceptible to the manipulation of sadistic killers. It's just the way it is. They themselves have been victimized by the government in some way or form, or abused, or accused, falsely accused. So somehow these individuals think that they're going to come to the rescue of Richard Allen. They can see his pain. But it's not true. He's manipulating you. He's doing this to himself to gain a little bit of control. The same reason that he killed Abby and Libby that day, or why he was convinced or talked into it, was so that he can gain control. Remember, he said he was working the stock market on his phone, but he actually lost money doing that. That it wasn't a good idea. So to me, he's tying in something financial to the crime. And if he's doing business with the McCains, right, he's funneling money from Walmart into the McCain foundations. Maybe he's receiving a cut of that, or was promised some of that back, right? Money laundering. Yep, he had to spend time with his own head, and he didn't like it. He had to get out of that room. He had to find God or get out of the room, one of the two. Because there's only one redeemer, right? There's only one God that can redeem you from what you've done. But it has to be true. It has to come from a place of honesty. But redemption is there for anybody. Whether you say so or I say so, it's there. It's not up to us, right? It's up to the Father. What's up, Sherry? Think Ariel Castro hung himself before trial? Yeah, he couldn't handle it. And that's what they were protecting Richard Allen from. So that's what some people would have preferred. They would have preferred to see Rick hang himself. Yep, coercive control, absolutely. He beat himself up because of shame of what he did. I don't think he had any shame. Cheeks, I don't think he had any shame. I think he kind of thought he would get caught. Honestly, I think it was just totally for control. It was all about that day, that moment. I'm suffering in here. Get me out. And I'm going to get it done at any cost. Yeah, we can't manipulate God. We can't speak for God. We can't do any of that. All we can do is, try to live a good life. But redemption is there for anybody. I truly believe that. I can't sit here and truly judge Richard Allen. That's not what I'm doing. All I'm doing is showing you the discernment that's been given to me by God. The discernment that I can look at all of the evidence. I can see what is going on in front of my eyes. I can also see the corruption from law enforcement. Like, I'm able to see it all. The corruption, the lack of justice, the way that people are treated inhumanely in jails. Not just Rick Allen. Everybody is treated like shit there. But there's no alternative. How do you police people that are already in prison? You have to have something worse, or they're going to take advantage of you. They're going to manipulate you. They're going to do whatever they want and run all over you. The only option right now is solitary confinement. So if you want to stop this behavior from these institutions, you have to get involved. You have to get involved with the politicians. You have to become political. You have to get shit changed. Not only that, you have to be innovative. You have to be in a position to come up with the plan. You have to be smart enough or work with a great team and come up with a good idea. What would be an alternative for Richard Allen? I think a very secure facility, right? With a certain kind of staff where he could somewhat walk around, maybe a padded building, and he can come and go, in these rooms as he sees fit. And he's under constant observation. He's not just locked down in some weird cell. He's under constant medical and observation by doctors, something along those lines. And then when he's healthy, send him back. Sherry, I've always spoken of God. I guess you weren't listening. I've never stopped talking about God. God has been a big part of my life for a long time. So you're incorrect about that, but I appreciate it. It's not like I'm reborn again. I was reborn a long time ago. And my life has been great ever since. There's literally nothing anybody can do to me. Not with that kind of protection. You can call me bad names, but I just see the devil in you. All right, guys, we're going to dive back in to Kathy Allen's testimony before I run out of, or not her testimony, but her interview transcript. Got a lot to go over. There you go. And everybody that's truly with my channel, they know that. You know, not the farewell watchers. All right, guys, we've read quite a bit. I think maybe 3 or 4 pages of the transcript. So if you want to go catch that, go check out part 1. You can get these transcripts for yourself. Go to X, type in Richard Allen. There was a guy, he was the first one to post them. But also, if you go to a YouTube channel called All Eyes, she posted them as well. And it looks to be exactly the same. The copies are the same. So they must have gotten it from the same place. He may have gotten them from her. She may have gotten them from him. I don't know. But if you guys want them, go to X. They're there. Or go to All Eyes. That might even be the easiest way. Maybe we'll start right here on 161. But like I said, I can't recall that day if I drove mine or his to work, right? She knows exactly what car she drove. Okay, so would you normally, that's where you guys parked? Was the old, she says, yes, CPS building, yes. So think about it. You have a 2019 presser where Doug Carter is begging the public. If you know anybody that was at the trails that day and might have parked at the old CPS building that kind of matches this sketch, which Rick Allen does somewhat match the younger sketch, right? If you just took a quick glance at him and the lighting is right, yes, he looks like he could be young. They even said, you know, I think what was it, 18 to 40, but could look younger. Well, that's Rick. He's not 40. He was 43 or 45 at the time, but he definitely looked younger than that, or could. So why didn't Kathy come forward then? Why didn't she say, well, Rick, like that's where you park, man? That's probably when he said, I didn't go on that bridge. Like it doesn't matter, you know, where I parked. Maybe I did park there, but I didn't go on the bridge, so it doesn't matter. So now she's like, you told me you didn't go on the bridge. So it's like all adding up. You know, her curiosity from the beginning, needing him to take those countermeasures and go turn himself in. Nothing happened. 2019 new direction presser, right? It's starting to build up on her. And then now they're interviewing him. She's starting to panic because it's all compiled. All right, let's dive right back in. Yeah, because you're not supposed to park at the gates because they always acted like you weren't supposed to block it. Right. I'm sure we probably parked there a couple of times, but I'm like, I don't feel comfortable parking there. Yeah, a lot of people did. Yeah, because I think it's private property there. So I think the people that parked there had permission from the mirrors. Like Becky said, oh, I went and got permission from the mirrors and they said I could park in the ditch. So I think the people that were parking there were probably friends, family, or people who asked for permission. And you knew they built the big lot there, up there, where, yeah, the other bridge. But that was years down. I don't think we ever used that one. Okay. I don't think we ever used that one. All right. Then when you parked there, how would you normally get to the trails? Oh gosh, that would be before they built the bridge. The Freedom Bridge, because there was, is what you're talking about. Yeah, because I think the trail, okay, the trail came down right here where that's built now. Okay, you didn't cross the bridge, so I guess we took that. There's like a little gravel walkway. So maybe I have that. Let me see. I'm not sure I do. Oh yeah, you can't see it on here. Maybe. Nope. Well, either way, you guys all know that there's that gravel walkway right in front. You step out of the CPS building, walk through their parking lot. There's a path that leads directly to the entrance of the Delphi or the Monon High Bridge Trail. Kind of leads you to that monument. Okay, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, because I think the trail, okay, came down right there and that's built now. Okay, you didn't cross the bridge? So I guess we took that. There's a little gravel walkway. So she's talking about the walkway in front of the CPS building. And maybe I can, here, let's pull this up. CPS. Because I know some of you guys are better with visuals. CPS building. Oh, yeah, this will definitely help you guys. Maybe. Maybe, maybe not. Kind of, you can see it here. But see, this is the walkway she's referring to. Oh, no, that's not the walkway. Oh, this must be after they tore down the building. Well, here's the actual walkway right here. Let me see if I have more. What is this? Oh, here we go. That's perfect. Okay, so she's talking about this walkway right here. So she's used to parking at the CPS building. Why didn't she say something then? So this is what Rick did that day. What they normally do every day is what the bridge guy did that day. Remember, he ran into the girls right here. Right there. There's a bench. I think you can even see the roof of this house right here in the pictures. One of these homes right here, you can see it like in the background. It's like a green roof. And the bench is right down here. So the girl said, we ran into the bridge guy right here. Well, what's Kathy telling us? This is where they always park, the CPS building. And they take this gravel path right here. They go up this way. That's exactly what the bridge guy did and bumped into those girls right here. And for whatever reason, Rick told Kathy that he ran into these girls and that they were weird. The fuck does that mean? And up a little hill, maybe. east of what's now the Freedom Bridge. Don't ask me east or west. So it would be away from town, yes. East would be away from town. West would be towards town. It's east. Okay. Did you ever talk to you? Did he ever talk to you about being out there that day? And for whatever reason, she says no. And then he kind of starts hitting harder at her. The day the girls went missing, she says no, twice in a row. And then he says, wait a minute, never said a word about it? And then she's like, oh, he must know something. Well, actually, no. He said he went for a walk. Okay. He did say he went for a walk out there. Okay, so now you're changing your story. And then he ran into these three girls and they were weird. Okay. And so he was like, I'm just going to go home because one of them had long black hair. Or at least that's what he told me. I don't know. What did he say was weird about them? I don't know. That's all he told me. Do you know what he was wearing that day? Oh my God. Anything unusual when he got home, or did you get home later that day? Or I got home later in the day. Okay, about what time would you have gotten home? Probably 6. Yeah, she gets off at 5:30. You can look up the schedule at the veterinary clinic online. So she goes to work at 8 and gets off at 5:30. So when she gets up, she's up with Rick. Rick goes to his mom's. She goes to work. Because at that time we were open till 5 o'clock, so 6 or 6:30, if I remember correctly. He was sleeping when I got home. He was on the couch. Okay, and he was. Go ahead. So that night, I remember on the news it came up that the girls were missing, and I wanted to go out and look for them. Okay, what was his opinion at that point? Well, of course I can't go out and look for them because that's too many people out there. But he said just let them do their job. Okay, so he wasn't. He goes, we don't need to be out there with all these people. There's too much going on. You know, if you're out there, then you know anything could happen. If they find stuff, you know, laying around, they could blame you and all that shit. So, whoa, that's fucking interesting. Here's the countermeasures again. I've been trying to drive this home for you guys. This is Richard Allen's profile. He makes a mess. He's better at cleaning up the mess than he is at planning it. Because there may not have been any planning. I'm going to read that part again. He goes, we don't need to be out there with all these people. There's too much going on. You know, if you're out there, then you know anything could happen. If they find stuff, you know, laying around, they could blame you and all that shit. So, see, so actually, it would have been a really good idea for him to go out there. It would have been a good idea for him to go out there if he hadn't been seen. See, right now, he's like, oh, I've been seen by multiple people, even some lady on the street that saw me covered in mud and blood. Okay, laundry. Do you do the laundry? Does he do the laundry? We both do. Okay. Mm-hmm. Had he done laundry that day? I don't know. I know we're talking a long time ago. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I mean, 5 years ago, I can't tell you a whole lot either. Yeah. But okay, so he admitted to being at the Freedom Bridge that day. Okay. He admitted to seeing 3 females. Mm-hmm. Said one was taller and had brown or long black hair. Okay. Then he said he walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. Okay. Is that normal? Oh yeah, we both did that. Okay, sure. Said he didn't see anybody else. Mm-hmm. Does he do stocks a lot? Yeah. Oh, not a lot, no. Okay, he used to. Okay, it got overwhelming, so it's pretty much just 401k. But he did do a lot of that. How did he do the stocks? He would just do them at home, mostly on his day off. So he could actually be there and watched and trade. The computer thing where, oh yeah, traded himself? Yes, yes. Okay. Yes. That got overwhelming, so he quit doing that. Ha 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 ha. So I wonder what was overwhelming. Did he lose? I wonder if he lost a shit ton of money. Loses money on the stock market, links up with Dave McCain. Dave McCain says, if you help me do this, I'll give you a shit ton of money on the back end. Because who benefited? They ended up receiving over like a couple $1 million into their nonprofit foundations. So when you have all this money, you may not be profiting, but you're going to have to hire companies and you're going to have to hire people to do all the jobs that you have lined up. Just hire your friends and then they can launder the money and give you something on that back end. Kind of like the US government and the war machine. So, yes, that got overwhelming. So he quit doing that. Chuckle, can't stand to lose more money. And, keep losing and gaining. Lose more money. So there's your motivation right there, guys. He has a funeral that he just took care of. His father is having heart problems. Um, his daughter's going through college, getting married at the end of 2017, and he's over here losing money. Maybe he lost a shit ton of money on the stock market. Okay, but he usually did that at home though. Oh yeah, he did that at home. Okay, did he do it on his phone anymore? I can't tell you that. Okay, I don't think so. See, right here is the strangeness surrounding the phone. For whatever reason, he had to take a countermeasure and say, "Yeah, I was on a phone." Right? His head was down, looking on the phone. So he's telling a half truth. He was on a phone, but it could have been the phone given to him by Kagan Klein. And he brought up the stock market because that could be one of his stressors, right? He's telling another half truth. Like maybe I was on my phone and I was looking at Snapchat or I was on Yubo, and the stock market is one of the reasons that brought me out to the trail or got me into this mess. So she's like, nope, I never saw him on his phone. I don't think so. I know he did it on the computer at home, but he may have done it on his phone. I don't know. Okay, I never look at his phone. I trust him enough not to have to do that. He talk about any other people or vehicles being out there that day? Oh my gosh. No, I don't. I don't recall. I don't know. Okay, you know what kind of phones you had back then? I think I've always had Samsung. Okay, he may have had a Razor. I know he's had a Razor before. Trying to think of the other one. Gosh. So I think the missing phone might be a Razor. So that's some information if you guys are on the hunt for that. Do you know the service? You'll have to name off some who the service provider was with. Well, he bounced around a little bit. I think our main one was Verizon at that time. Okay, I know cell signals are terrible over here. Oh yeah, mine's pretty good though. On Ting. We have Ting. Never heard of that. Check into it. It's really nice. Is that a small one then? You save a lot of money. It's through they work off other networks. Okay. But they charge you by how many minutes you use in data. And it's like a set price? Okay. And so if you don't use it too terribly much, you can get it for less than $40 a month. Ting? For both. Ting, Ting, Ting. Mm-hmm. Yep. You heard of that one? Never heard of that one. Yeah, look it up. Yeah. Maybe that's why it's so cheap. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Could be. That's a new one on me. It's really good and great service, so check it out. Okay, all right. Does your husband have guns or knives or weapons? Well, we both have some knives. Okay. We do have a couple guns. Now, I'm not a shooter, but he bought me one. And I can't even tell you what the one is he bought me. And then I have my own revolver. Damn. So we have two guns, two handguns, and then my revolver, which I guess counts as three. Yeah. And it's a handgun? Okay. Do you know what those two handguns are? I can't remember. Do you know if they're like a 9 millimeter, 380, 45, 40? Like I said, 22s. I don't shoot it, so I can't remember. There's too many numbers. Hang out, guys. I need to go get my glasses. I gotta go find them. Jeez. Still so sore from golfing. All right. Let's go to the chat. If they find stuff laying around, why say that? Remember, he called, I think it was his mom. According to the murder sheet, remember? So even Kathy's kind of admitting to it, and it kind of backs up what the murder sheet said, that the mom told them or told somebody that Rick called her and said, "Hey, mom, they're going to try to pin this on me. They're going to find like a cigarette or something out there." And they did find a cigarette. And they're going to have DNA, and they're going to try to say that I did this. They're going to try to pin it on me, mom. So he's kind of planting that seed for her, planting that seed for Kathy. And that would have been his story originally, but he had 6 years to come up with something better. Yeah, you'd be right out there helping. You'd feel terrible. He was out there and didn't see anything, you'd think. What's up, JV? Is there still a feeling that Richard Allen and KK are linked in this matter some way? Absolutely. And every day, I think Dave McCain might be above them. I think it goes Dave, possibly. Starting to believe this. Dave, I think he recruited Rick. And I think it was Rick who reached out to Tony. We now know that Rick worked at Chrysler. He worked a block away from the Klein home at CVS. My sources tell me that they knew each other when they were younger. And Detective Vito even said that they found out that they lived in the same neighborhood at one point, like right next to each other, real close by. So there's all these ways for them to know each other, right? And then you have Richard Allen name dropping the McCains during his interview, thinking he has some kind of protection, it seems. All right, let's continue on. I don't shoot it, so I can't remember. There's too many numbers. I haven't shot it in years. They're semi-auto, because you said you had a revolver. Oh, which are semi-autos? It's a pearl-handled revolver. Okay, it's a long time ago. A revolver? Yeah. Okay, my dad gave it to me. What about the other two handguns? Oh, I can't tell you what they are. They're not revolvers, though. They have clips. But she means magazines. Yeah, so they'd be semi-automatic. Sorry. Yeah, no, they don't have, no, I don't think. No, bigger, smaller. I can't tell you, I'm sorry. I'm not good with handguns, the names. Okay, like the numbers? And you say it could be a 9, it could be a 35, or whatever you said, 380. I don't think it's a 380. 380, 22, I don't think. It's not a 22. It could be a 9. Okay, I can't tell you for sure. 9s, 40s, 45s. What am I missing? I'm sorry. 357. 357, but those are mostly revolvers. But they make them semi-auto. They do make some semi-automatic. I don't know. I'm sorry. 38s, I guess 38s. There's some revolvers or semi-automatics in 38. How big are the bullets for the gun? I guess that long. Are they thick or are they? No, they're not thicker. They are not thicker. No. Okay, no, they're thicker or thinner. They're probably a 9. 9's a popular model. Yeah, I know he tried to go one smaller for me. That's a 9mm. It's probably well thicker than that, or I don't think they're thicker than that. I thought they were smaller than that. Maybe I'm thinking of a 22 because my pistol is a 22. 22's know what it was. Excuse me, that's what I am used to. Yeah, because that's what I have, and the revolver. So you've got, I seriously don't even shoot my gun. So he got it for me, and I'm like, I need to take lessons because I don't even, how to shoot it really. Does it shoot a lot, or we haven't shot for years? Did he carry a gun with him a lot? No, I mean, he would carry it sometimes if we were out fishing. Because we did fish. We'd go to Carrollton and fish, but we didn't carry it out on the trails. Okay, we never carry handguns on the trails. Okay, could he have? Or, well, I suppose anybody could. but I couldn't tell you what he did that day. Okay, do you have any other questions about him and stuff out there offhand? Yes, you mentioned Chrysler. Did he actually work for Chrysler? He did, but it wasn't for very long. Was he at the plant there or, yeah. Okay, he was at the plant. So that's where Tony Klein worked, at the plant. And then he started having like an allergic reaction to some of the chemicals and stuff. Okay. So he had to quit working there. Do you remember when that was? How long? I don't. My memory is not good, you guys. Like before? For a lot of stuff, 17, after 17, it would have been while we were still in Mexico. Okay. So while they're still in Mexico, not far from Tony Klein's home, Rick Allen and Tony are working at the same place. I am pretty sure it was still before we moved to Greenwood. Okay. Yeah, it was because his father was very disappointed in him for quitting. See, what's going on here with this father? Like, you have a grown man being told that your elderly father is disappointed in him for quitting? That's weird. Yeah, it was because his father was very disappointed in him for quitting. Maybe he got him the job? And do you know what division he worked, or no? Was it a section? I don't remember. Daily job was there? I can't remember. I'm sorry. Okay, no problem. You mentioned he had a razor. Do you back then did he have a smartphone at all, or we've always had a phone. I mean, we went from the big ones to like flips. I know he had a razor. He had at least two of those. The razors were the flip back still, right? Oh, is that still a flip? That was a flip. Okay, the razor. So he had two of those, but he ran over one of them. Hmm. So he had one of those, but he ran over one of them. I wonder when that was. When did he run over the phone? With a lawnmower. Shit, I wonder when he did that. He never said that during his interrogation, right? That's very suspicious to me. He never mentioned that. They were asking about his phone. He didn't say anything about losing one to the lawnmower. That's a good way to do it. Not really. Yeah, yeah. It was expensive. So he had a razor. See, everything's about money for her. That might put a lot of pressure on Rick. You know, we put more pressure on ourselves than anybody. Like, the walls that we build around ourselves are bigger than any walls that are built by anybody else. So he had a razor. I don't know. He might have had a Motorola at some point because I remember the M being on our phones. So that might have been another one. Do you? I know you said you didn't look at his phone. Yeah. Do you? Did any? We talked about him trading. Yeah. Did he ever have any apps on his phone? Like, did you ever see him checking stocks or whatever it was? He might have. I wouldn't even know how to look that up on his phone. Seriously. He might have. Did he ever mention to you, I'm looking at, like, when you guys are sitting on the couch watching TV, did he ever, like, yeah, I'm just checking my stocks on this phone as well as on the computer? No, because we just kind of do our own thing on our phones. Yeah, we don't really pay attention to each other. Okay, that's fine. Fair enough. Ask, what are you looking? Ha ha ha. You do social media? No, or at least he tells me he has never been on social media. See, so how is Kathy supposed to know if Rick is into CSAM, using burner phones? She's not paying attention. So everybody's like, well, how could he be this guy, or how could he get away with this? Just like this, Kathy's telling you, like, I don't pay attention to what he does. Like, I trust him. I'm not even really worried about what's going on with him. If he's trading, just don't lose all the money. That's all I care about. No, or at least he tells me he has never been on social media, right? He could tell her that and be lying. It's when he's hanging out with the Kleins or something. That's when he gets into his social media stuff. And he can't stand that I'm on it, right? He's jealous. So you're on it? I'm on TikTok too much and Facebook. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, pretty addicting. I am. TikTok is really bad. Ha ha. Yeah, I need to cool that down. 2 hours a day is too much. Yikes. Ha 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 ha. You're on Facebook? Yes. Okay. When you were at work and he would go to the trails and go walking, uh huh. Would you ever go with anybody? Is there other people you know? I mean, he'd go with family. Family? Yeah. Do you know who he would go with? Or he would go with me and Brittany when she was still home. And sometimes if my brother David and John were up, but John's passed away since then. So John passed away in 2016. September, I think 27th was the day he died. Tragic motorcycle accident. And then my mother-in-law would go along if she was here. Interesting. So his mom was even on the trails. Okay, yeah, we kind of made it a family event most times. Right. You know you guys want to go for a walk. And David and John are David and John. John's passed away. What's their last name? David Walker? Walker, okay. John Walker. John, When did John pass away? 2016. Okay, they live around here or Peru? Peru. Mm-hmm. And mother-in-law is Janice Allen. And where she lives? She lives in Mexico, Indiana. Mexico? Yeah. Okay, this is interesting. We'll take a little pause right here. Cindy Lean, what's up? She probably could barely breathe around him. Any chance for privacy? Yeah, the sources that I've developed tell me that she became very flirty and almost like there's nothing you could do about it, Rick. Like she would even do it in front of him. So him being jealous of her having a Facebook kind of lines up with that. So he may have even had his own private Facebook trying to, stalk her. Okay, how about the name Jerry Klein? Does that ring any bells to you or Tony Klein? I just seen the name in the news recently. Now, according to my sources, she's lying here. They used to live in the same neighborhood, and I believe at one point Kathy stopped going to Miami High School and went to Peru High School. Like at one point she bounced. And that she knew Tony when they were younger. They all had like the same group of friends. And they all told me Second Street is the key. I'm going to pass along what they told me. If you want to connect Richard Allen, Kathy Allen to the Kleins, Second Street is the key. So if you're local and you want to do some digging, that's where they tell me you need to start. Second Street. And according to Kagan, when he was doing an interview with the Murder Sheet, he apparently lived in the same neighborhood as Richard Allen when he was 10. Fix says, I wonder if checking stocks is code for him. Like he says he's doing that while doing mischievous things on his phone. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, who knows what he's really doing, right, Vix? That's a good observation there. Let's see. Coffee's getting cold. Just seen the name in the news recently. Okay, you don't know him? No, not familiar with him at all. Never heard of him. And the funny thing is, I think he from Peru? Mm-hmm. Listen to this. Because I grew up in Peru. So did Tony Klein. I grew up in Peru, but he's probably a lot younger than I am. So, nope, He's 2 years older than her and Rick. He graduated 2 years before them. Okay, I don't know everybody. What about Joyce Burnell? She's my sister. She's my sister. Yeah, okay. I don't talk to her really. So I wonder why they brought that up. I don't know if I've heard that name before. Joyce Burnell. I wonder if that's shit. I wonder if that's my source. That might be her real name. Joyce Burnell. I'll have to check that out. Right? Because the person I was talking to was a family member that would help take care of Kathy's mom. And she messaged me under an anonymous name or a fake name and said, "You have your facts wrong." That they shared the responsibility of taking care of the mother. But in fact, Rick definitely was in Peru the morning of the murders. Remember, I'm the one that came out publicly and stated that before anybody knew that. So that proves that these sources were accurate or knew some inside information. I don't talk to her really. See, that could be her. I mean, why are they asking? Okay, you're not close, or when was the last time you talked with her? I texted maybe a month ago. Okay. I don't talk to her though. What? Just never got along as sisters, or I don't know, we're just opposites. Okay, yeah, complete opposites. Does she hang out with a bad crowd, or no, she's not a bad person. She's like, "No, I am, right? I'm the one hanging out with a bad crowd." But she's very needy and she likes to use people, and I just don't do that. Okay. Problem. Okay, how about the name Jennifer Walton? I'm going to write all these down. I just find it curious that all the people that may have been telling law enforcement that she is connected with Tony Klein, those might be the people law enforcement are bringing up right after bringing up Tony Klein's name, right? They're doing this investigation. They're trying to connect the Kleins and Richard Allen together. And they're asking Joyce Burnell and Jennifer Walton, and they're saying, yeah, they know each other. And these could be the same people telling me that they knew each other. So it's kind of fitting that they bring up Tony, and then right after that, they bring up these two names, Joyce and Jennifer. I went to school with her. Okay. Do you communicate with her? No. Or talk with her? No. On Facebook or anything? No. Follow her? We friended each other a long time ago, but then I just like unfriended. So, okay, for some reason they're unfriended. Why? That's fucking suspicious. So possibly somebody that's connecting her to Jerry or to Tony, Jerry Anthony Klein, she unfriended. Interesting. I don't know. It's hard to connect with people you haven't been around forever. You can't just really pick up where you left off, so I don't see a lot of people from school anymore, so okay, how about Peru or Mexico? Nope, just my family. Okay, no friends still back on there, or well, I had Kim and she's passed away, so only Kim, Kim Hall? Kim Hall. Hall, yeah. So there's another name. Okay, she was from Peru? Yeah, she was from Peru. Okay. I was closest to her. I mean, there'd been a few work friends that I see once a year, but nobody I hang out with quite often, so. Okay, you've never run across Jerry Klein on Facebook? No. Or any social media activities? No. Okay, what about Kagan Klein? I don't know that name. Okay, but you know the name, you recognize the name Jerry on the news, though? In the news, yeah. See, the funny thing about this is you can kind of tell that she's lying because Kagan Klein was in the news 100 times more than Jerry, but she recognized Jerry from the news. I wonder why. Yeah, okay. Would your husband have known any of these people? He has never talked about them, so I wouldn't think so. Jerry Klein or no. Joyce Burnell, I mean, he knows her. Yeah, obviously, since that's your sister. Yes, yes. Does he communicate with her much? or no? Okay, not at all. What about Jennifer Walton? Nope, doesn't know her, or he wouldn't know her. Never talked about her? No. Okay, no. So it sounds like maybe Jennifer Walton and the Joyce Burnell, they must be Facebook friends with Tony Klein. So they're Facebook friends with Tony Klein, and they're trying to connect Tony and Rick through these individuals. And they need Kathy to verify that for them. Doesn't know her, or he wouldn't know her. Never talked about her. No. Okay, no. So he's originally from Mexico? Yes. And you're originally from Peru? Yes. Did you both go to Peru High School? See, I told you guys. See, my sources are fucking good. We went to 2 different schools. I told you. I had this information years ago, right around the time Rick was arrested. He went to 2 different schools. 2 different schools? Yeah. He went to North Miami, okay? And I went to Peru. She would have been a sophomore, and Tony would have been a senior. Fucking crazy. This is just more evidence that my sources were correct from the very beginning, which is great. You never know. You never know when you're being manipulated by somebody, you know. You have to vet them. Everything is lining right up. So Kathy went to 2 separate schools. She went to school with Tony Klein. Or Rick, she went to school with Tony Klein, and Rick went to Peru and Mexico. Yeah, it's not too far. His school was in Denver, Indiana. So that's probably 5 minutes from Mexico. Okay. And then Mexico, Indiana is probably about 7 or 8 minutes from Peru. Okay. Yeah. Because I was thinking North Miami was the school actually south of Peru a little bit, or is it north? I'm not good with directions. Okay. I can tell you how to get there because I think it was somewhere out by the Air Force Base. Air Force Base, you say? Where did we hear about an Air Force Base? Grissom, and then also the man who took his life after the crime scene photos were leaked. He worked at the Air Force Base. No, you're going the wrong direction. Okay. Yeah. So it's north of there. You've got to go north? Sorry. Yeah, you've got to go you've got north? You got to go north, yeah. Okay, I couldn't remember exactly where that was. Yeah, and Mexico is right off of 31. Okay. And then if you go up a little bit further, you've got a sign that goes to Denver. Oh shit, the Curious Contrarian. Good to see you, my friend. So they're both off of 31? Because I was thinking Mexico is north of Peru. It's a tiny bit north from, yeah, or whatever direction you want to call that. Okay, never got over there too much, so it's a nice little town. Mexico? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never been to the town itself, so. Well, there's not much there, but it was a nice, quiet town. You're not getting those much anymore. Age-wise, I mean, both of you about the same age then? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm 9 months older. Okay, mm-hmm. So within the same year or so? Yes. Okay, you're talking about my husband and I? Yeah. Okay, yeah, he's not my sister. He was going to say that's pretty close. No, 9 months between you and your sister. No, I don't think so. Yeah, that'd be pretty quick. All right. So you don't remember the phones you had back then? I can't, sir. I'm sorry. And you don't remember him talking about being out there that day or anything about going out there that day? All he mentioned was those girls. He said they were just kind of odd, right? They said the same thing about him. He said they were odd, and they said he was odd. So I don't remember him saying anything else. Okay, and you don't remember anything odd with him that day? No. Anything different or acting different? No. So this is the part that people need to educate themselves on what compartmentalization is and how somebody could actually commit a brutal murder like the Delphi killings and then act like as if nothing has happened. For normal people, it's hard to fathom that, but you have to really dive in and educate yourself to get a better understanding on it. It's a very creepy thing. It's how people like Ted Bundy were able to have, girlfriends with children, go to work, live a normal life, and then behind the scenes they were a violent, satanic monster. All right. Anything different or acting different? No. Communicating with anybody else that he doesn't normally communicate with before or after? I think, did he go to his mom's that day? Was that his day off? And that's Kathy asking. Kind of interesting. I don't know. He says he was out there between 1:30 and 3:30. Okay, so would he have gone to his mom's and been back by then? He might have gone to his mom's in the morning. Okay. Mhm. Is that normal? Oh yeah, we go to see his parents whenever we went. Okay, sometimes I go by myself. I didn't know if he just split up and end up no. He'd head over there that way, or no, I'm trying to remember the times because he's been in deep depressions for years, but I can't tell you why he would have went there. Deep depressions, you guys. He fits the profile of the killer of Abby and Libby. If he did go deep depressions, yes. Does he take medication for that, or he does? Okay, he's been on too many, even tell you where to begin with that. Okay. So I want to look something up here real quick. Okay, it says here it's best not to combine antidepressants and alcohol. When you combine the two, symptoms may worsen and it can be dangerous. If you mix antidepressants and alcohol, you may feel more depressed or anxious. Bad actors, what up? What is up? Okay, does he take medications for that? He does. So if he's taking medication and he decides to have a six pack, that could have put him over the edge. He's been on too many to even tell you where to begin with that. And you say for years? Oh, yeah. How long? Well, he's had anxiety since his childhood, really. But depression, he's had for probably 20, 25 years. Me as well. Okay, only mine's more situational. Situational? I wonder what she means by that. I think everybody goes through some depression. People, yeah, it's very depressing. Yeah, it takes a while to work through that. Oh, yeah. Get over it. And it's going to happen at some point, but you just never. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So anything else you can think of? You were talking about the day when you wanted to go out to help with the search party. Was that normal of him to like say, no, let's not do it? Or is it, well, yeah, because it was reasonable. I mean, it wasn't reasonable to have a bunch of people out there. What are you talking about? The more the better, right? Was that his norm though? Or like if it was anything else, would he be like, oh no, he wouldn't want to go? Okay. It wouldn't matter. He'd be like, no, you're just going to hinder things. Right. So you need to stay out of it. I mean, I think everybody probably was thinking that day. Oh, his meds. Has he been continuous with them? Was there any time period where he didn't talk? Take, I think they meant take. Didn't take them for a while and went back to them, or he's always been on. Religious about taking what he's told to. But I'm telling you things, some of the things do not work well for him. Okay, so you're saying some of the meds like weren't doing their job and he had to switch to different ones? They weren't doing their job, or he didn't have the right doctor to be switching his meds around. I mean, we struggled for quite a few years with that. but the doctors was even misdiagnosed. With anything, it was actually something else, or well, they diagnosed him with a major depressive disorder. He's seen like two or three psychiatrists, but I think he's bipolar because our daughter was just not diagnosed with that. And it's just nobody's diagnosing anything right. But right now, he's doing great on his Prozac. So back around that time, was he on his medicine good or no? No, I mean he's been struggling for quite a few years getting the right medicines. I mean, but 5 years ago, back in 2017, was everything the medicine working at that point in time? My years have all ran together. That might have been the downward spiral at that time. Oh, that's interesting. So he's asking about 2017. She's saying that might have been the downward spiral. Or he could, I don't remember what he was on at that time. Did things change after that? Did things change after that? Yeah? No. Get better or get worse? Have to change your medications? Well, he's always a stressed out person regardless. So it's hard for me to say if anything got worse. It's not been good for quite a few years. Okay, until like this last year when he finally got something that worked. But I mean, he's been struggling for years. I can't tell you exactly when it would have started and gotten worse. But I know after I lost my brother, it was really bad. See, this is what my sources told me, you guys. Listen to this. Now, you can't argue with the fact that I was 100% right about this. Going to different schools, right? Going to Miami High School and Peru, going to the same school as Tony, living in the same neighborhood as Tony Klein, working at Chrysler, the same company as Tony Klein. Vito says they lived in the same neighborhood when Keegan was 10 years old. And the CVS is literally walking distance from the Klein home. They tell me if you want to prove that Rick Allen knows the Kleins or that Kathy Allen is lying about knowing the Kleins, Second Street is the key to that. I don't know what that means. Maybe somebody out there listening, maybe that's kind of ringing a few bells, but Second Street is the key to connecting them. Okay. Until like this last year when he finally got something that worked. But I mean, he's been struggling for years. I can't tell you exactly when it would have started or gotten worse. But I know after I lost my brother, it was really bad. So when Kathy lost her brother, my sources told me that she took it really bad. She took it bad. She began drinking a lot, um, and ignoring Rick. So if Rick is not spending time with his wife, he could be spending time um, with the Kleins. So it says I think things started maybe after that, and that was 2016 or so. So right around the time that her brother Johnny died, shortly before that was when the Anthony Shots account was created. Now remember, Kagan Klein at 8 a.m. the morning of the murders logged into two burner phones with the Anthony Shots account. And then you have Richard Allen running around with the phone, also near Peru at 8 a.m., talking about a phone, talking about monetary motives, working the stock market, trying to explain why he was on this phone that apparently he destroyed with his lawnmower. I mean, it's all becoming very clear. I don't know about for you guys. And Kathy says, and that was 2016. So, but I can't tell you what all meds he was on. They didn't, so many switching. It was horrible. So, yeah, he went on a downward spiral right around the time that this murder would have been planned, right? If it's involving the Kleins, it's involving Vegas, involving Dave McCain. Somehow there's a monetary gain here. The activity wise for your husband, other than obviously the trails and like going walking, fishing. Is there anything else that he was into? Any kind of sports or things like a lodge or no? We're kind of homebodies. I mean, it was hard to get him interested in any hobbies. So the fishing was pretty much it. And we play pool. We do that occasionally. We play a lot at JC's when it was still here. Link? What's Link? League. Oh, League. Pool League. Mm-hmm. Oh, Pool League. And then they shut JC's down, so we just kind of haven't really been doing much. Got you. But that's because it was nice and local. Or going and playing pool or going out to eat, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, when he worked for Walmart, was it exclusively Lafayette or did he ever go to any other locations? Well, he didn't start in Lafayette with Walmart. He was in Plymouth at one point, then went to Illinois. See, I didn't know he worked in Plymouth. It's interesting. Okay, so Plymouth is North Indiana. So there's a lot of traveling there. So you guys, if you want to find out if Rick Allen has any other criminal history or responsible for any other crimes, I mean, he's done so much freaking traveling. Between his work at Walmart, going to Plymouth, and then going to South Chicago, he could have been doing anything because Kathy's not with him. All right, let's continue on. This is getting very interesting. Yeah, we know what she means. Bad actors. What's up, Courtney? All right, let's continue on here, guys. What's up, Ziggy? Okay, we're going playing pool or going out to eat, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, when he worked for Walmart, was it exclusively Lafayette or did he ever go to any other locations? Well, he didn't start in Lafayette with Walmart. He was in Plymouth at one point, then he went to Illinois and worked for 2 years. Yeah, and what's interesting is this took place, he was working in Illinois around the time of the Evansdale murders. Everybody says, don't try to tie those two together. Well, the killer in Evansdale was probably somebody that likes fishing, right? It took place at a popular fishing hole. Was two young kids, and they were taken in a very similar way as Abby and Libby. So I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility. Then went to Illinois and worked for 2 years. Illinois, the state, yeah, okay. And he would go back and forth between home. He would go back and forth between home and us. Got you. I think that was maybe, and then he ended up back at Walmart on the west side, I think. And there's probably two. I don't know which one he worked at. And then they transferred him to Commerce. So he worked at several different Walmarts. But he kept going up in status. So they would switch him from one to another. What did he do there? Well, he started out as a supervisor. And then he got moved up to what do you call it? Not assistant manager. I can't remember which one. And then he got manager at Illinois and then was just too much stress. So he had to quit that after 2 years and come home. Okay. Because it about killed him. All right. So right around the time, shortly after the girls were discovered in Evansdale, he quits his job in Walmart because of his stress. I'm just saying, guys, it's not likely, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. What's he do at CVS now? He's a supervisor. Okay. Yeah, one of probably three or four. Gotcha. Yeah, but he hasn't worked at any other CVS's, just this one. It wasn't like Walmart, and he won't go back to that rat race. So is it more low key now? Well, as low key as you can get in retail. Yeah, I would think it's better than Walmart. Yeah, Walmart is horrible. Yeah, too many people. Has he always carried one phone or does he have multiple phones at all? I have never seen him carry more than one phone. Okay, and work doesn't provide him with one, so gotcha. He pretty much has to answer questions on his personal phone. Did any of his jobs provide him a phone like Walmart? When he worked at Mr. Steve's, he had a great big clinky phone. What the fuck is Mr. Steve's? He had this clinky phone. Hold on, I'm going to look this up real quick. Mr. Steve's. Okay, Mr. Steve's lawn and power equipment. Looks like it was in Greenfield. And they lived in Greenfield. I don't know. This might be a connection to Elvis Fields, even. You might be able to connect Rick and Elvis Fields through this. Wasn't Elvis into lawnmowers, fixing lawnmowers? Interesting. So I have to look at that more. Mr. Steve's lawn and power equipment. What's up, She Warrior? Okay. When he worked at Mr. Steve's, he had a great clinky phone. And what's the clinky phone? The one that looks like a brick. You don't, oh, the Zach Morris phone, I think is what they're talking about. You don't remember those? I know, yeah. I remember. They're horrible. Yeah, he had one of those for work. And then I don't even know what he had cell phones for ourselves yet. Then for ourselves. Okay. And then at some point we got our own phones, but I don't recall anybody giving him a phone other than them. Okay. I don't think he had a work phone after that. Do you know his email address? Well, we use the same one. What's that? Rick2024 at frontier.com. And don't forget, Rick admitted to having a Yahoo email address that I haven't found yet. I don't know what it is. If any of you can find that, please send it to me at sleuthintuition@gmail.com. She says, and I have my own too. But he mainly have his own individual. She says, I have no idea. So it sounds like Rick could have gotten away, surfing the dark web or trading CSAM. And Kathy wouldn't even know. I know he's got, other stuff on his phone, but I don't. Do you ever see him on Google when he's on the computer? I don't watch him. He could be. Right. I don't know. I have my own email too. Okay, what's yours? Mine's ospep123@gmail.com. And we could not be able to tell you what mine is, so. But both of you use the other one? Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of our combo one. Do you remember who his doctors were? Oh my gosh, he's had some of that have retired and that moved away just in the last, say, 8 years or so. 8 years? Does he change that many in 8 years? Oh man, I would have a list at home. I don't have it with me. I'm sorry, he's got a new practitioner, so I can't even tell you her name. It's like every time he gets somebody, they leave or retire. Seems to be normal anymore? Yeah. Do you know driving back in 2017? I would have had my gray car. You would have been driving the Ford 500? Yeah, yeah. And we sometimes switched off with them depending on what we were doing, but that was my major car. That was mine. What do you have now? I have a Chrysler Pacifica van, 2022. Do you like it? I do. It's pretty smooth. I went to 3. I'm telling you what though. You can haul a lot of stuff in a van. And I'm always antiquing and going to flower shops and stuff, so yeah, we loved it. Uh-huh. Has this got the plug into it or it does? Now, I don't like all the technology though. Yeah. It's like there's way too much. Then you have to turn off the fuel saver if you don't want to use it because it will die at the light. Yeah. And if you don't turn that off, I'm like, they should have made that option so that you could actually turn it off completely. But other than that, I do love it. It's nice. It's easier to get into. He's driving the Focus, right? He tried to lie about that. During his interview, he lied. So I want you guys to see the contrast between the information that Kathy's providing and what Rick provided during his interview. They don't line up. Now remember, Rick told Holman that Kathy doesn't even know he's there. He didn't tell her. He's trying to keep from crossing the streams, right? Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters analogy. You cross the streams, you could destroy the universe. So he doesn't want to cross all his different stories that he has for Dan Doolin and law enforcement with the stories that he's telling his wife and his friends. All countermeasures so that he doesn't become a suspect. He's working very hard at it. We still have that. Yeah, it's more economical. But I like my van, so who are his close friends? Close? He doesn't have any close friends. Any friends that people he does chat with or communicate with on a regular basis? I'm telling you, he's a hermit. Okay. I mean, he hates going out in public and he's afraid of big crowds. And I mean, we have people we play pool with when we're there, but we don't hang out with anybody. Or he doesn't, right? She does. Look, she says, but we don't hang out with anybody. Or let me correct that. He doesn't, like I do. See, I'm the social one. So yeah, I have more friends than he probably ever would. When he would go out to the trails or would go fishing, what would he normally wear? Probably blue jeans. He doesn't wear sweatpants. And depending on the weather, a t-shirt, tennis shoes. On colder days, how would he dress? Would he a hoodie? No, he didn't wear hoodies out. I mean, he's got some thicker jackets, so I assume probably a Carhartt. Okay, yeah. Did he ever cover his mouth or at all? No, no, no. No scarves. Nope. Ha ha. No, a scarf? Are you kidding me? He hardly wears a ball cap. Yep. If he's real cold, he doesn't wear the face thing. No, no, no. He would just freeze. Yeah, he's not going to wear anything on his face. Not unless you're riding a motorcycle, which we don't ride those anymore. We did that 25 years ago, back in 2017. That February 13th day, did he ever text you on the day of that day while you were at work? Oh my gosh, I don't remember. Is that normal? He texts me every day. He does? Oh yeah. Even when you're at work, even when I'm at work. Do you remember that day? I know it was a long time ago, but do you remember that day, like him not texting you? No, he texts me every day if I'm not with him. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure he texted me, but I couldn't tell you for sure. I mean, we text each other when we're not together. Right. So I would have been at work. He texts, I love you a lot. So you said he was sleeping when you got home that day. If I recall correctly, yeah. Was that normal for him? Well, yeah, he sleeps a lot. And I think that goes hand in hand with depression. I just remember him sleeping. And then I saw the news come on and I said, those girls fell out of that bridge, fell off of that bridge. You said that or he said that? I did. Okay. Because I knew they had to have. When did you find out what actually happened? Oh, gosh. When it came out in the news, I'm like, that was a horrible day here. What was your thoughts? I felt awful for them because I have a daughter. Did you talk to him about it? Oh, he knew how I felt. We both felt that way. He say anything about it? Mm-hmm. No? Other than he was out there. I mean, he was straight up with me about that. Then he told me what he encountered. Like, you didn't see these girls, two girls anywhere? He says, no, just that group of three. I thought for sure they tried to cross that damn bridge, and I knew that was not passable. I don't know how anybody can walk on that bridge. You won't see me do it. No, no, it's terrifying. There have been several guys that walk across that bridge, so, oh, it's scary. Like, you want to jump 2 and 3 feet across. Nope, there's nothing to hold you on there. And when we first started walking that, it wasn't like that. And then it just got like every year things started falling apart. Mm-hmm. And it's like I'm not walking that anymore. You said you guys walk. Have you walked across there, right? Oh, it's been years ago. Oh, yeah, we all did. Yeah, we all tried it. Ha ha ha. All right. When's the last time he walked across it? Do you remember? Oh, heavens. I don't know. It was bad even then. So I can't see anybody wanting to walk across it. I mean, if you did, you were crazy. Well, in Rick's interview, he admits to crossing it quite a bit. Have you seen that picture? Oh, God, a million times. Okay, is that your husband? No. Could it be your husband? No. Why not? Because he would never do anything like that. Well, we're not talking about whether he would do it or not. We're just, no. That picture, would that be your husband? That could be any male. Okay, anywhere. So any male means it could be your husband, right? Okay, anywhere, anytime. I mean, those clothes or whatever, could that be your husband? Size wise, I mean. Well, size wise, yeah. Whoa. So even Kathy says size wise, yeah, that does match my husband. Bam, there's a bombshell for you. Rent to own place. I don't know what that place is. Mr. Steve's in Greenfield, Illinois, or Indiana. I wonder if maybe Elvis Fields ever worked there. So she says, yeah, size wise, it matches my husband. Boom, there's your bombshell right there. I mean, sure, but what does he have on his head? That's what I've always been trying to figure out. Okay, but facial, what you can see with the face there and stuff, that's no, that nose looks huge. There's no way. Okay, nope. So that couldn't be your husband? No, because what's the brown? That could be an anomaly with the picture. I have no idea. Because we've got brown and purple back here. Sure. So that could be an anomaly. Sure. With the picture. Sure. It could be. I mean, it could be a lot of things, but but just taking the fact away from what actually happened out there. If you saw that picture, could that be your husband? I'm sure there's a lot of people that say it could be somebody. I mean, that's not fair to say. He's short. Ha 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 ha. He's fat. Ha 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 ha. So it's like she's making fun of him. He's short and fat and laughs. Yeah, I've never seen him. So, yeah, that wouldn't be a very fair thing to say, though, because that's when you get all kinds of people accusing you. Yeah, does your husband have any clothing that looks like that back in 17? Oh, he had jeans. I'm sure he has a coat. He's got blue coats. He had blue coats. Yeah. Does he have any black coats? No. Like he's saying with the pictures, like to give you, I know, an example. Looking for somebody one time in a car, and on the camera, it looked like it was white. But because of the lighting, it was actually red. See, that's what people don't understand about the vehicle that's pulling in on the Sandifer security footage is that the light is shining on the back of the car, making it appear white. So you really don't know what color it is. It just looks white on camera. And that's what he's kind of explaining here. It looked like it was white because of the lighting. It was actually red. So you can't always take on face value what you see there. What you see there has to be what it actually is. I mean, I still try to figure out if this is a hat or if this is hair, but he doesn't have anything like that. He doesn't even have a brown hoodie. Okay, how long was his hair back then? Do you remember your husband's? How long? Yeah, he's always had short hair. Short hair? Oh, absolutely. And see, and we know that that's not true. Here, let's pull up. Let's see. Let's pull up the other trial exhibits. So she's just not being truthful. Right? His hair's not short here. He's got a long beard. So that's just not a true statement. He shaved it. Okay. Since military. All right. I mean, he let it grow out a little bit for our daughter's wedding. Gotcha. Yeah, but he's always had what branch? Shaved hair. What branch was he in? National Guard? Army? Yeah. Okay. When was that? Oh gosh, 91. Let's see. He started that in high school. Okay. So probably 8 years. Gotcha. 89 is when he probably would have been enlisted. I think that's when he got out of school. A little before me. Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Just a little. You say both of you have knives? What kind of knives do you have? Oh gosh, just pocket knives. Small folding ones? Yes. What's up, Eli? Do they have serrated edges on them too, or are they just a smooth edge? Mine doesn't have serrated edges. I don't know what he has on his. Okay. I never open it because I can never get them closed. Haha. But it's just like a little pocket knife. Okay, small, big. He's got a couple ones. He doesn't have any big ones. Okay. That I know of. So the truth is he has this huge knife collection and she didn't even know about it. I'm not seeing one that size. Okay. His is a lot smaller. Yeah, a little smaller than that. Oh no, it's nothing like that. I haven't seen one that big. Okay. He's got a little tiny one that you have to like unfold and it has scissors in it. Shit, I wonder if that could be the knife that he used. You know, a real sharp, small blade. Kind of a Swiss Army knife type. Yeah, yeah. Do you have any knives that are missing since 17 at all? No, haha. And the firearms that he has? Yeah. How does he usually carry them? Like some people won't keep around in the chamber and people do. Do you know how he loads them? I think there's one in the chamber at all times. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's on safety. Got you. That's why I'm afraid to use mine because I'm like, I don't feel comfortable. But he always wants me to have it. Do you know where the safety is mechanism on it? On mine, it's like a red dot. Right, yeah. But like I said, I don't even handle it. It's in my drawer and it stays there. Have you seen the other one your husband has? I don't know what it looks like. I know it's black. And he has the magazine like mine. Okay, but you don't know what brand? No, I don't. Okay, I'm sorry. What he carries it, how does he normally carry it? On the outside. Okay, holster? Yes. Okay. I do know that. I don't even think I have a holster for mine. How do you carry yours? I don't. If I do, I stick it in my purse. But then it's like, okay, now what do I do? You know, because at one time we had some creepy people sitting out here in the parking lot. And I'm like, if I'm going out in the dark, I know how to flip the safety off. I can at least do that. But I haven't carried it in my purse for years. I only did that like twice. Was he right or left handed? Right. Right hand? Right. Mm-hmm. Does he carry it right side? Does he carry it cross? Does he? I don't know. I would assume he'd do right, but I don't really pay much attention to that. Has your husband ever had any kind of like violent outbursts or temper problems, anger problems? Medications, he did struggle with that. Yeah. What would he do? Like, what would happen? It was mainly if he was drinking. Ha ha. Well, he'd just get mouthy. I mean, he wouldn't hurt me. Yeah. He'd never try to hurt me. Ever throw anything or punch anything? No, never threw anything. Break anything? If he did break anything, it would be outside in the garage. Okay, so he must spend a lot of time in the garage there. That's where they found all those big knives that she didn't know about. But I never seen anything broken, open like holes in walls or anything. So, and if that was the case, I didn't even know he did it. But he'd come in with knuckles sometimes. So I think she means come in with like bloody knuckles, like he was punching something. Has he ever had any run ins with the law? No. No issues? No. He did try to kill himself. When was that? That's been probably 3 years ago. So that would have been around the time of the new direction presser, right? 3 years before this was the new direction presser, where he probably expected that he was going to go to prison. Talking about, the CPS building, a vehicle, and a new sketch. So it's interesting that he tried to kill himself right around the new direction presser. Actually acted like he would. I don't know that he ever would, but he had the gun in his mouth. So I called 911 on him, got him committed for like 6 months to Sycamore, right? I think that's the same hospital that Julian Powell was in. Sycamore. Wonder if they met in there together. They both were in the military. That could have been like the connection. So you have Kagan Klein's roommate who was in the military in the army. You have Julian Powell who was in the army, and you have Rick Allen who was in the army. Is that the connection? This whole military thing? Done, and that was probably 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Anything led up to that? I mean, did he argue with you before he decided? No, to do that, and that was drinking. Okay, he was drinking at that time. He was drinking. Yes. No conversations with anybody else. No. Were they just me and him that day? Okay. Yep, he tends to get too sassy when he's drinking. A lot of people do. It can change people. It's bad. Yes, it can. And dealing with that and trying to get your meds right just sounds like a recipe for disaster, right? So when he's drinking and on his meds, he gets crazy. That's what apparently he was doing on the day Abby and Libby were murdered. So hopefully this is all becoming clear for you guys, especially you naysayers out there. I'm surprised they let him drinking, taking the meds. They don't let you drink. He's not supposed to be drinking then, right? No. No, I was going to say, no. Normally they don't, but no, he wasn't supposed to be. Ha ha. No, they tell you that. But after that day, did he ever change his, like, he normally would dress? No, no. Still dressed the same. Yep. Do you know if he still has those jackets, that Carhartt and stuff at the house there? Oh gosh. Well, I know he has the blue Carhartt. Yeah. He's got a blue one, but I don't remember. I think that was the one he got at Great Lakes when we went to Mackinac like a couple years ago. So the jacket that he has now isn't even the jacket he owned. So he replaced it. He could have replaced his jacket without her even knowing it. Mackinac Island up north. Oh yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, he got one a couple years ago from that. Somebody doesn't sound happy. Well, when they're in surgery and they're walking up, they're coming out of sedation, so they're sad. Ha ha ha. They don't feel good. Yeah, for a while I was thinking it was some little kid. I know, ha ha ha. Somewhere. No. I was thinking there was some kid making the noise, and I'm like, no. No, that's a dog. It's all the doggies, they're upset. That does sound pitiful, doesn't it? Yeah, I thought it was a kid for a while. Yesterday it sounded like a bird. I think there's a little bit more here. Yeah, my dad having the heart failure and my brother was killed on a motorcycle. So remember, usually before a killer does something like what happened to Abby and Libby, it's preceded by a number of stressors: lost job, divorce, bankruptcy, death in the family, something along those lines. So I want you to notice what may have triggered this for Rick Allen. She lost her brother, and also her dad was having heart failure. Okay, I lost my friend Kim last year. He didn't have anything else though that really, not him, no, that affected him. See, what affected him was the fact that all of these things were affecting Kathy. Remember, he has dependent personality disorder. He's attached to her at the hip. So if she's severed, they're no longer Siamese twins. They've had the surgery, they're separated. She's social, she's on Facebook, she's going out there self-medicating at the bar. Rick doesn't want to go out and do all those things. So where does that leave him? That could literally run him into the arms of the Kleins. Right? What did they do? They just hung out in their house. They didn't go anywhere. Especially Kagan. That could have been when they were establishing their relationship. They're both the same kind of person, like incels. Closet cases. No, not him. Affected him? No, but I think affected him. Well, if you're close, it would, yeah. But nothing in his past that would have affected his depression or anything like that. I mean, just life in general for him. Okay. I mean, just every day, getting up every day, that's a struggle in itself. I can't speak for him how he feels, but I can see it. Yeah, he doesn't talk about it then. He tries to more because he didn't used to. And like you hold on, that and it's going to get worse. He's just depressed all the time. I mean, he's not like he used to be. He's better now, right? He got his power back. So his is kind of constant. Oh yeah. It's not where something situational like mine will set it off. Things set me off pretty quick. Okay. When it comes to what kind of thing, but I can get through the day. He just had trouble even getting through the days for years. So he told you that he was on the trail that day, right? Yes. Okay. Do you remember when he told you that? I think the news came on, and then he's like, well, I was out there. I was like, you were? Because I was like, that's just great. Anybody that's walked out there, right, is probably going to get talked to. Did he ever say that law enforcement talked him after that? He did, yeah. Okay, did they? Did he go to them or did they come to him? I actually think they met him at Save a Lot. Save a Lot. That's what he told me, is that they met him at the Save a Lot because I said, you've got to go say something. See, so she's the one that told him to go speak up. If you were out there, you've got to go tell them that you were out there. So he said they met him at the Save a Lot and took his phone and looked at it. And that's the last he's ever said about it. So did he say who met him out there? No, I don't recall that. Save a Lot is out here in Delphi. Yeah, okay, yeah. Do you guys ever have any dogs? Not here. We did when we lived in Mexico, but we lost too many. So we're just kind of got away from that. Yeah, lost? Yeah, maybe they weren't lost. Maybe they were killed. But you got cats? Yeah, we do have. Any other animals? Nope, the bird's outside, I guess. Did he ever mention to you that day anything that was strange to him, that he saw, cars, people, anything? The people that I mentioned earlier, the girls? The girls, Anybody besides the girls? No, because I asked him. I said, was there anybody else out there? And he's like, just those girls. I'm like, okay, what were they doing? I don't know if it was passing, but he just made it sound like it was not. It wasn't like him to bring up something like that. Well, I saw these weird girls out there. I'm like, okay, weird as in how? I didn't get any more detail than that. See, he's trying to keep it separated. He's got to keep his lies completely separated. He doesn't want to cross the streams. Let's catch up on the chat real quick. What was he doing before the trails? What's up, CJK? All right, he didn't elaborate on that. He didn't know who the girls were. So remember, he's paranoid. He had an alibi. He was going to have an alibi that said he was with his mom. He wasn't even in Delphi. His wife knew that he left Everybody was gonna that was would be questioned about Rick Allen would say, yeah, he left to Peru, and his phone says he's in Peru. So he leaves his phone at his mom's, picks up the burner phone from Kagan Klein, and then they go and launch this murderous plan, which may or may not have been set up by Dan McCain. Not unless it would have been somebody he knew. Yeah, I was going to say, but he's very friends or no. Nobody he would know that he was supposed to go meet. He wasn't like that. He wouldn't just go meet somebody like that, you know? He would tell me if he was going to meet somebody because we kind of keep track of each other that way. Yeah, he's not going to say anything if he's planning a murder, right? Because we're always afraid something was going to happen to somebody. Tell him I'm going to Lafayette just so he knows I'll be in Lafayette. You just never know anymore. Did you guys have any marital issues back in 17? No. You were good then? We have a good relationship. Okay. But it's been hard, you know. Help, trying to help him get through things with his own mind. But there are some things you can't help. And I'm there. I'm very supportive. Ha ha ha. Going to make me start crying again. Stop. I was going to say he's getting louder. I know, yeah. He's not happy. Why did you cut me open? I don't know what that means. Back, but did he have any people he would talk to when he was at Chrysler? Oh, here we go. Trying to lead back to the whole Jerry Klein, or continues talking to afterwards. I don't know that he had anybody to talk to at Chrysler. I don't. Okay, truthfully, I don't. Where he parked that day? Mm-hmm. Did he mention any other vehicles being there? No. Did you ever ask him? No, because I wouldn't really think to. I mean, I don't care if he's parked there. When you guys go to the trails or when he would go to the trail? Mm-hmm. Was there certain days of the week he would go? No, just whenever. Random? Yep. Depends on the weather. I mean, if it's too hot, you're not going to go on the trails. No, just depended on if he had time to go to work in a half an hour walk. We just usually go up and down once. So it was a good half hour. We went to Sunset Point a lot too. I like that one better. It's prettier. Not as pretty now, but I like that one better. Did you guys ever travel to like different parks or whatever to go to different trails? No. And different sites? I'd like him to, but he doesn't want to leave the house. So Sunset Point's the one, but yeah, old 25, right? Well, it's Pizza Hut. Yeah, you know where Pizza Hut is? Yeah. Yeah, old 25. And I remember hearing a story about a young girl who hung herself over there by the Pizza Hut, like near a tree or off a bridge or something. Yeah, old 25. I guess there is an entrance there. I was thinking there was one. Yeah, off that park they built out there. There's a swinging bridge that connects it to that. Right. Yeah, and I don't know what that one's called. That one might be the Trailhead or it's one of those. Other than that one time where you caught him trying to harm himself, was there any other times like that? No, no, just that one time. Just that single time. Yeah, because I think that's when I called and had somebody show up. He learned real quick that I'm serious. Like, do you remember what time frame that was? What month it was? Yeah, oh God, no. Was it in winter, summer? It might have been a little chilly because I remember him throwing the gun on the couch and running out the door. And I'm like, too late, they're coming. Ha ha. Yeah, ha ha. Sorry, you shouldn't have done it. Yeah, do you know what? Like what? He had been drinking. He had way too much. And he's not a happy person when he gets drunk. Was there anything else going on like that? I don't think. That time or that time frame? I don't recall. Getting it, I get it, drinking. But usually a trigger of some type. I don't recall. You do that? I don't recall. Did he say anything to you ever? Why he did that? No, other than he was just being stupid. Ha ha ha. I hope he's friendly when we open that door. Open this door? I can't think of anything else right now. We appreciate you talking to us. Okay, sure. Yeah, no problem. giving us this information. We just need to follow up, okay? And find out, like I say, going back through some of the stuff, and then he admitted being out there. And yeah, we're just trying to understand. Find out what you remember, anything he talked about, anything he said. I wish I could remember if there was any more detail. I really do, but I can't. It's hard for me to think of yesterday. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this interview. It's approximately 11:31 a.m. So I think this is pretty much it. I think this affidavit from Matt Hoffman might be it. There's Betsy Blair's version of the car, actually Dave McCain's car, which is very interesting. They're trying to say this could be a 2016 special edition hatchback, which is similar to Richard Allen's. So that means that they are conceding that the car is a Ford Focus, right? That's not a very smart move. Some more True stuff. Nobody really cares about Max Baker. Some more images. Joshua Robinson. Looks like some kind of Odin altar. Friends list. More Odinism. This creepy photo of Richard Allen. Somebody named Randy Jones. Part of the Dan Doolin lost tip. Showing cleared. Oh, this is something interesting. This is Dan Doolin's follow-up report. I spent most of 2017 working to locate and interview people associated with phone numbers obtained from the cell tower data. I was supposed to determine if the cell phone owners lived in the area, were traveling through, or were actually in the area of the trail. I would make the initial contact, document basic information, and obtain cell phone information if possible. I would identify on the lead sheet if I felt additional follow-up was recommended. My office log entry is as follows. Saturday, Carroll County Command Center, work leads with FBI at several locations. RE cell tower data, seen and high bridge. Attached is the 2-page Word document of what I submitted. I checked my audio recordings and cannot find one for him. I will keep looking because I am sure I recorded about every interaction I had related to my assigned leads. So you say, here's the affidavit of Teresa Liebert. 2017, I lived at 2482 North 625. So remember, the private drive, that property doesn't belong to the Webbers. Kay Weber belongs to property further down the private drive. But the entrance to the private drive belongs to Liebert. She says, I continue to reside at that same address today. Country Road 625 West is a paved road that dead ends almost in front of my home, but then turns into a private gravel road that continues towards the Monon High Bridge, servicing the home of Brad Weber. Around 8:30 a.m. on the morning of February 13th, 2013, I observed a man on 625 West near my house. The man was standing near the mailboxes used by property owners nearby. I have never observed the homeowners walk to their mailboxes because of the distance. From their homes to the mailboxes, the homeowners drive their vehicles to drop off and pick up their mail. I had never seen this man before. Let's pull up the sketch that she created for this individual, which to me looks like Dan McCain. The one thing that she seems to remember is the hair kind of sticking out everywhere. So if Brad Heath is there around 8 a.m. to go to work and he sees a boxy style car, like a vehicle you would see, an older model car, and that was around 8 a.m., and then Liebert is saying that she sees this man hanging around the entrance of the private drive. Like, for what reasons? Could this all be tied in? Could they be preparing for a crime? So right now you have this gentleman doing recon potentially, right? the private drive, parking near the trails on 300. And at this very moment, you could have Richard Allen face to face with Kagan Klein, loading or activating the Anthony Shots account on two separate burner phones, one in the car at the cemetery and one in Richard Allen's hands. Because everything you can see, it appears that they're stalking Abby and Libby through Snapchat. And if they both have phones with Anthony Shots, and they're friends with Libby or even friends of friends, they can see their location if you're friends with them. So just by the girls uploading to Snapchat, showing where they are, showing photographs, if these guys had access to the same Snapchat information, they could have been stalking the girls that way and timing the crime perfectly. The guy underneath the bridge, Richard Allen on the bridge, and somebody on the other side of the creek, which Keegan Klein confessed would have been him. If that's true, they would have had every angle covered but Brad Weber's property. So all they really had to do was convince the girls, make sure they went down the hill. And that's what the kidnapper did. Guys, down the hill. Who's waiting for them down the hill? The phone shuts off right when they get to the bottom. So who made them turn it off? Why did they hide the phone? You know, what happened when they got under there? Was this guy right here waiting for them? Remember, there was a car that pulled up around 1:58 shortly before the girls were kidnapped. And somebody could have been dropped off right there. So maybe it was this guy's idea, like, hey, when we finally get the girls here, I'll drop you off at the private drive. You go down there and make sure they're safe. I'm going to go park at the Mears lot, which would have been around 2 o'clock, you know, or maybe he even parked at the CPS building, Dave McCain. Now he's playing lookout. All right. She says, I have never seen this man before. I was in the passenger side of a truck being driven by my husband, Dave. The man I observed was standing very close to the passenger side of our truck as we passed him. Because I was sitting higher in the truck, I had a good view of this man's face as we passed him and noticed that the man appeared to be startled and concerned at being seen. I turned to my husband and asked something like, what do you think he's doing? After passing the man and driving approximately 50 more yards to our driveway, I exited the truck. After exiting the truck, I looked in the direction of where the man had been and noticed that he was gone. I did not see him on the road at all. I believe the man had to immediately and intentionally hide after we passed him on the road. So all of this is kind of painting a picture of somebody planning a murder, right? Somebody motivated to plan. Basically, it's a conspiracy. Could involve Dave McCain, the Kleins, Richard Allen, all to benefit the Trails, benefit the Kleins, and benefit Richard Allen financially. Kleins, they get their copy of the snuff film. They get to do whatever they want with it in Las Vegas. Meet the guy on Craigslist. They make money that way. And then Richard Allen was probably maybe promised money on the back end. Once the crimes bring all the attention to the Trails, then the foundation starts collecting all this money. They can start laundering the money however they see fit. What's up, Stephanie? So I don't think there's anything more. There's the deposition of Jerry Holman. But yeah, I think that's going to do it, you guys. I think we're finished. I don't think there's going to be a part 3. Maybe if we're just going to review it. All right. So if you are part of the replay crew, make sure you leave a comment. We'll get back to you. If you guys need to reach me for whatever reason, go ahead and hit up the email, sleuthintuition@gmail.com. And if you want to support my channel, best way to do that would be Cash App. If you can't do that, don't feel pressured to. Hit the like button. That's just as good for me, guys. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.